Hi everyone, welcome to this video. In our last video, we discussed some basic question. That question are all about the projection and selection part. Okay. In this video, we are going to discuss about function. Okay. In SQL, how the functions work. Why we're using this function. Okay. In this video, we just focus on the theory part. In our next video, whatever the hands-on part is there in function, we are going to discuss. So let's start the video. So what do you mean by function? In our programming languages, if we're using Java, Python, any of this language, okay, when we are writing some code, let us assume you have to add two number. To add two number, you are going to define it is of integer type, int a equal 10, int b equal 20. I just have to add two integer. For this, you are writing some code, some specific code. It may be 2 line, it may be 3 line. If you are using Python, a single line, you also can define this. Whatever you are writing, whatever instruction you are writing now, this is called as a function. You are going to perform some specific task. Your task is to add two integer value. To add that two integer value, you write something. This is the function. In SQL also, we have to perform some task. For that, we are going to write some code. But here it is query. In the form of query, we are going to design our function. Okay, maybe the function is already designed, we are going to use it, or we have to declare the function. Okay. Now, different types of function. In SQL, two types of functions are there. First one, single row function and multi-row function. What does it mean by single row function and multi-row function? Single row function mean a function already it is defined. Already it is defined. Single row function means if you are give one input, it is going to give you one output. If you have 10 input, it is going to give us 10 output. But in case of multi-row function, it is not about number of input. If you give 100 input, it is going to give you only single one output. If you give only one input, it is going to give one output. If you give 1 crore, 1 CR of input, it is also going to give you one single output. And this is the major difference between the single row function and the multi-row function. Yeah, I think you got an overall idea about the single row function and multi-row function. You just have to think like this. Some single row functions are there. It's like length is a single row function. You have to find some length. We are going to use this length function, a length method. Okay. Now we are going to discuss about multi-row function. Single row function is quite easy. Okay. Now, multi-row function. So what does it mean by multi-row function? Multi-row function means we are going to provide multiple input at a time. It is going to aggregate all this and give one single output. And in this middle of this process, all of our input get merged or is get aggregate. It is aggregating all the input and give us one single output. Because of this multi-row function is also known as aggregate function. It is aggregating all the input in a single place and give one output. And there are 5 types of multi-row functions are there. You can see here sum, average, max, mean, count. Sum. By the name itself, we are getting one idea. Whenever we have to find the sum, we are using the sum function, this multi-row function. In case of average, if you have to find average, you don't have to write logic by yourself. You just have to use this multi-row function and it is going to give you one result. Then max. Max mean these two are whenever you have to find the largest one, you have to use this max. And when you have to find the smallest one, the minimal one, then you are going to use this mean. Count is like when you are going to use count, it gives us the number of rows present. We know in SQL, rows means data. The rows means record. The number of record present in our table. If we want that, then we have to use this count function. Okay, let's do one small query. We just have to write a small query. If we have to find the sum of salary, we already created one employee table. In employee table, one column is the salary. We have to find the sum of all salary. Okay, how we can write? We have to write select Then we have to write sum of all the salaries from our employee table. Like this, we just have to write this multi-row function. You have to pass the multi-row functions in select clause as a projection part. We know after select clause, whatever we are providing, this is considered as projection part. Projection part means this is all things which are going to be shown in our result table. This is how we are going to write the multi-row function. There are some specific rules are there when we are using this multi-row function. Let's see that. First rule, multi-row functions ignore null values by default. In our employee table, one column is there called commission, COMM. Like in some data, some values are present, and in some data, null is present. Null means nothing. How you can add this null with some value? We are not able to add. But what you do? But you don't know whether null is present or not. You don't have any idea about this employee table. You don't know anything about my employee table. I just told you, you just have to find the sum of all the commissions. You do this. Select all the sum of commission from my employee table. If it include this null, how you can add this? Along with a number, you are not able to add a null because null is nothing. Null is not equal to 0. This is quite important thing. Null is not equal to 0. Many of you guys do one mistake. Null means nothing. Nothing means you might assume nothing means 0. No. 0 have some value. We already discussed in our last video when we were discussing about this operator. Is operator is null operator. How is operator is going to compare with null and is with not null. If you remember this thing, 0 and null, these two are different things. These two have some different value. 0 is, we know it is 0, but null is nothing. It is not 0. Okay. And this is how we can use this multi-row function. For max also, if instead of sum, if I use max, what I get as and what I got. If instead of sum, if I use max, whatever the maximum commission is there, I'm going to get that. If I use min, whatever the minimum commission is there, I'm going to get that. If I use average here, I'm going to get what is the average commission of all the employee. But it ignore all the nulls, all the null values. Okay. But I'm not able to use count here. Why? Because count take only argument as asterisk. This is asterisk. Count only take argument or input as asterisk, because count is for return some value, some integer value to count how many records are present. We are not able to pass this type of argument to count. So how we can do that? If we have to find how many employees records are present in my employee table, so simply for that we have to write select count of all the employees. We know when we have to point to all the employees in that particular time, we are using this asterisk symbol. This asterisk represent all. Whatever data present inside my table, it is going to be represented by this asterisk. If I have to retrieve the data, if I have to change some data, I can do that. And this count function is going to count how many employees records are present inside my employee table. Okay, you can see here one exception is there. Count function is only function that include null values and duplicate values. You can't pass multiple argument into a multi-row function. So if I have to find sum of salary and commission, I can do like this, a sum of salary, comma commission. No, I'm not able to do this. Why I'm not able to do this? If I have to find sum of salary, it is going to give me one result. If I have to find sum of this commission, it is going to give us one result. But what do you know? Multi-row function, whatever input we give it, it is going to aggregate all this input and give one single output. But in this case, it is not going to give me a single output. So in this particular case, we might face some issue. Not might, we are going to face some issue. You can't nest one multi-row function inside another directly in select clause. In whenever, just one single rule you just have to remember. In multi-row function, you must have to provide only one single condition. Some questions are there. You have to do this. Okay. I'm just going to solve one question, and rest 3 questions you are going to solve. Okay. In our next videos, we are going to discuss about some hands-on part based on this multi-row function. Not exactly this question. I have prepared some question set. Write a query to display the number of employees working in department number 20. So how we can do this? So simply, we know whenever we have to display some data, we are going to use this select clause. Okay, it's done. Then we have to find the count. So we have to use the count function. We have to find all the employees, those who are working in department 20. We are finding details from our table called employee. And we have to provide here the condition. Here we are also able to provide the condition where department number is equal to 20 and put one semicolon. This is the query you have to write by yourself. And this 3 question is task for you. Okay. And this is all about this video. If you have any doubt, just wait for next video. In our next video, I'm going to discuss about some practical questions. Not that much hard or intermediate level, just basic question based on this function. Okay. So this is all about this video. Thanks for watching this video. Thank you.